to another games recap. Hey guys, my name is Brandon Film, and thank you for tuning in live every day at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube to watch me rant unedited, unfiltered about the biggest name in game news today that affects game developers. So let's go on to the news. Call of Duty quality assurance workers from Raven Software, makers of Warzone and other Call of Duty titles, last month announced that they are forming the first video game industry union at a major North American studio. Raven Software QA workers who have been on strike since early December of 2021 are unionizing. The employees have announced plans to launch the Game Workers Alliance, a movement formed and maintained by game industry employees across multiple disciplines, primarily stemming from the labor rights strike by Raven Software QA employees. Here's an official statement. We of Raven Quality Assurance are reaching out today to announce the formation of our union, the Game Workers Alliance, and request official voluntary recognition to join code CWA, Communications Workers of America, the union said in a message to Activision Blizzard management, in which they responded with leadership's constant reiteration of investment in the best interest of the employee base. We offered the opportunity to demonstrate this now by willingly acknowledging the union composed of these same workers. So, good move on them, right? There has been a history of poor treatment of game devs in the past. You probably have heard it a lot from me, but from others. The industry is known for its crunch culture and mistreatment of developers. Some places are better than others, but in most cases, things have still remained a creative industry where we are constantly pushing creatives to 12-hour days, 16-hour days to kind of push through at the end of shipping a product, right? Just think of Cyberpunk 2077. That was just last year. So quality assurance people, or QA, are a department that every studio has, right? What are QA people? Well, they are there to kind of help run through the game, find bugs, and make quality assurance, making sure the game is smooth and enjoyable for the customer. So unfortunately, what this means is that they are usually treated the worst because, as far as I remember, they are kind of the first and last people inside and outside the office. It is one of those things that comes with the territory. It's difficult to kind of get them doing anything else, and it's very appreciated, right? They're the foundation of every studio to kind of put in the hours. A lot of these times they're on a contractual basis, right? So it makes it very hard for them to earn benefits while putting their health at risk every day to put their time in. So the studio heads and any great designers that you might have usually found their roots in this department. So it is a department that fosters a lot of talent, not just for designers, but creative heads of a studio, but a lot of artists comes from this department, and it used to be the one route for a lot of our aspiring game developers to make our way into the game studio and work up the ranks. So it's important to pay attention to them. So Activision Blizzard is carefully reviewing the requests for recognition, which they have accepted, and seeks to organize around 36 of the company's nearly 10,000 employees, represented from Activision Blizzard says. While we believe that a direct relationship between the company and its team members delivers the strongest workforce opportunities, we deeply respect the rights of all employees under the law to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. Across Activision Blizzard, we remain focused on listening closely to our employees and providing the improved pay, benefits, and professional opportunities needed to attract and retain the world's best talent. Over the past couple of years, this has included raising minimum compensation for Raven QA employees by 41%. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Extending paid time off, even better. Yes. Expanding access to medical benefits for employees and significantly others, and transitioning more than 60% of temporary QA staff from Raven into full-time employees. So statistically, that sounds pretty good. So what's the problem here? Well, the Raven software QA people beginning to strike basically December 6th of last year. So when members of the studio's quality assurance team walked off the job to protest Activision Blizzard to not renew their contracts of specifically 12 QA workers, a few days later, the employees announced their former strike action and have been off the job since. Thus far, Activision Blizzard hasn't shown any signs of budging, but from 2 months ago to a month later, because of the noise that they're making, they have been recognized since. So there is and have been progress. The Workers Alliance said earlier that month that the striking workers hadn't received any sort of formal acknowledgement from upper management. So these were like basically weeks after. But after a month, because of all the press and what we're doing here on the journalistic side, we kind of folded in and had to kind of listen. So what does this mean, right? So there's a lot of issues now and where we stand. Since then, and because of the hearing and all the news press and everything that's being acknowledged on the Activision Blizzard side, the QA team are in response that are currently still working at Activision Blizzard at Raven Software have been put into different teams across the companies, like art, design, engineering, and audio. So this is something that the director of CWA, Tom Smith, called the move as nothing more than a tactic to thwart Raven QA workers who are exercising the right to organize. So in a nutshell, they're trying to break up the union, right? If you can't work next to the person that you're like conspiring with, it makes it very hard to organize. So this is a very familiar tactic. And Activision Blizzard, in response, says, despite the union's heated rhetoric about this week's hearing, it is clear that they do not understand the studio's basic needs, day-to-day operations, nor the game industry in general. We remain focused on the facts and in making sure our employees have access to a full range of information about this election and how it can impact them in our entire studio. This is an important decision that will affect everyone at Raven Software, and we believe that every eligible employees deserve to have their vote counted. We deeply respect the right of all employees to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. We look forward to continuing a direct dialogue with employees about this important matter. So there's a lot of he said, she said, but in the end, what really does matter is like the facts. And impressively enough, Activision Blizzard have been able to respond with facts about converting 60% of their QA employees to full-time, raising compensation by 41%. I mean, these are big numbers that you cannot ignore, and we're going to hear it in the court to kind of see at least what public opinion will side with. All this that is kind of breaking down kind of reminds me about a couple of years ago, right? So you got to remember, this is all happening while Microsoft is preparing to buy Activision Blizzard. That hasn't been a done deal yet, right? It's a $68.7 billion deal, which means there's a lot of things here that needs to be in review before it actually goes forward and close. Did this have something to do with Activision selling out? Yeah, I mean, this last year in 2021 and part of 2020 was not a good year for Activision Blizzard. Profit-wise, they did great, but internal struggles were kind of blossoming out from all types of directions. So it's been a tough year, and it is the perfect time to sell, right? It reminds me of how Disney, before or while the COVID pandemic was happening, the original Bob Iger for Disney retired early, right? I mean, it was happening in transition, but it sped up the process to switch out to Bob Chapek, who is running Disney right now. So we are seeing a change of hands in time of crisis. It is a familiar story. It's been happening for all industries. It is not uncommon that people who were having and finding so much success before wanted to go. And there were direct things to Bobby Kotick that were very inflammatory, right? And people were asking for his recognition before selling Activision Blizzard to Microsoft. So there was a lot of things happening. What is important is that, you know, it's great to kind of stand with our brothers and sisters. If they are feeling mistreatment, there is something there. But I also want to hear, you know, what is the response? What is the problem? What are the facts? Well, that wraps up today's games recap. Thank you guys for joining in live. Always looking forward to hearing your discussion. What are your thoughts? Have a good one.